Tracy kicks her into a table. No one asked you to do that. You chose! Okay, let's do this one last time. You guys know the story by now. My Mum Tracy Beaker, stinky, bad characters, bad story, bad pacing. Very funny bad, but honestly I think we're better off without its existence. The Beaker Girls season 1, not great but not bad either. Honestly, a big improvement on My Mum Tracy Beaker with like a nice little cute conclusion. So now dear viewer, we must ask ourselves the question. Why does this season exist? I don't understand why there needed to be a second season. Everything ended so nicely and we could have easily pieced together what happened next. And why the hell are there 12 episodes? That's a lot more than we got last season. These are the questions that I had in my head while watching the reveal trailer for this season. I was very ready for this show to be over, but unfortunately that was not the case at all. This second season mostly focuses on one-off stories with the cast we had in season 1 as well as some newcomers. So, did the second season of the Beaker Girls justify its existence? The first episode is honestly pretty alright. It keeps up the same tone from last season, so you kind of know what you're getting into once you start watching it. This episode is about Tracy trying to get approved to be Jordan's foster mum, while Jess and Jordan get up to their shenanigans at the youth centre. Here we get introduced to a number of new characters, such as Simon, Sai, Rajani Martin's family, and Seren, who is kind of supposed to be the mean Justine Littlewood-esque character of this show. You know, just if Justine Littlewood wasn't entertaining in the slightest. There's actually quite a few things to like about this episode. We see Tracy have concerns about fostering Jordan, like not being able to properly help with her cultural identity.
I mean, what if she needs help with her hair or looking after her skin?
Well, she can talk to me or Mary, and if we can't help, we'll find someone who can.
I thought that it was really cool to see her think through this whole process carefully and consider things like that. I also loved a lot of the dialogue in this episode. Tracy and Sai's argument, and Tracy and Cam's conversation at the end of the episode being particular highlights for some of my favourites. But while the episode had a lot of good in it, there is still some stupid stuff as usual. Like at one point in the episode, Jess and Jordan tried to pull a prank on Seren because she was making fun of care kids earlier in the episode. So they called Tyrone for help. So they set the prank in motion, but halfway through, Jess finds out that Seren's mum is their social worker, so they try to stop the prank. But for some asinine reason, Tyrone is fighting Jess to keep the prank going, which ends up making this happen.
What are you doing?
Why didn't he just stop when she told him to? I don't understand, bro. Also, Tracy jumping up and down on the clearly unstable floor. What is wrong with you? But these are mostly inoffensive, and honestly, the episode is wholesome and enjoyable, so it makes up for it.
Hey, Asha. Just want to say, I think you look based.
Fakey Beaker is the beginning of the Beaker Girls' signature cringe, which sticks around for the rest of the show. In this episode, someone makes a diss track on Jess and shares it around. So, Jordan and Jess try to figure out who did it while Jess tries to change her image. This episode is fine, but it has a lot of stuff that just makes my brain hurt. I do not even understand why Tyrone and Jess are even friends anymore. She's mean to him every time he's on screen for basically no reason.
You know, normal people just message. They don't just, show up for no reason.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine.
They're supposedly best friends, but instead of telling him about the bullying so he can help, she just gets mad at him after he spends an hour traveling just to see her. Then later on in the episode, they find out that the IP address of the message comes from Jess's old estate. But instead of asking Tyrone about it or confiding in him about getting bullied, she instead instantly accuses him of making the diss track. Jess being a bad friend isn't the only stupid thing in this episode though. Asha, Jess's sister, is the one who made the video. But obviously she's trying to keep that a secret, so she tries to make Jess feel better by taking pictures for her and showing her filters. But then another video comes out, and it's the same pictures that Asha took, and Jess doesn't even think for a second it might have been her. Asha has also been, playing the diss track out loud multiple times. Are you trying to get caught? And I know it's been multiple times because Jordan has apparently heard it enough to remember what it sounds like, so what's wrong with you? There were some things I liked in this episode though. I thought Tracy trying to teach acting was kind of funny. I suppose it stands out because most of the episode makes me cringe, but nevertheless I did like those scenes. I did enjoy the scene where Jess and Tyrone make up. In other circumstances, I would say that Tyrone forgives her a little too easily, but I think finding out that she was bullied does help him be more sympathetic, so I'll let it slide. And I really like that Jess doesn't instantly forgive Asher at the end. Asher made Jess look like a clown in front of the whole youth centre and broke her trust with full malicious intent, so I appreciate that they didn't have Jess forgive her just because of her dad's very unfortunate passing.
I'm sorry about your dad.
But it's not relevant, is it?
Yeah, she felt as if Jess was ruining her family by taking all the attention, which is an understandable thing to be upset about. But like, that doesn't excuse anything she did, and they don't pretend it does. This episode was like 30% cringe, 30% stupid, and 40% enjoyable. So you know, it's not the best, but trust me, it is not the worst.
I'm not a perfect man.
Okay, that last review took a bit of time, so it's good that I don't have much to say about this one. Basically, Jess and Patience find like a ghost net in the sea and start a campaign to remove it while Asher tries to get Jess to forgive her for the bullying. I kind of found this episode to be a snooze fest, to be honest. The Jess and Patience stuff is uninteresting and I just can't stand Asher. Like, yeah, she apologized and everything, but that does not mean Jess needs to accept it. She was fully spending time writing songs just to bully her for something that she had no control over. This is one of the only times I don't blame Jess for being argumentative.
Jess, you're being paranoid.
Says sorry, bully.
I said sorry. How many times?
You chose! I guess aside from that stuff, I think Patience's family is alright. Moses can be kind of funny sometimes, and it's nice they're giving her more stuff to do after she had like 5 lines of dialogue in season 1. I think Simon's Sai Rajani Martin is good in this episode as well. As much as he does make me cringe, I can't help but really enjoy whenever he's on screen. I like the interactions he had with Jess in season 1, and this season is no different. But yeah, I don't know, this one is just fine. The plot was fine, just making out with Asher was fine. Truly the 4 out of 10 episode of all time.
You just let it all out.
The writers finally remembered that Tyrone is a character in this show, so now he has a whole episode to himself. And it could be worse, I guess. In this episode, Tyrone has a trial for a world-famous football academy, which could change his life if he gets in. But unfortunately for Tyrone, he is bad at football.
Mum? Harry Kane!
I knew he was cooked from the moment he was lagging behind everyone and taking the deepest breaths I've seen in my life. Like, are you good, bro? The conflict comes from Tyrone failing the trial because his mum showed up and distracted him, making him sky the ball. But he clearly was not locked in, so I don't think he was passing the trial anyways, to be honest. I actually like the stuff with Tyrone and his mum more than I thought I would. Having Tyrone take the whole episode to process how he feels about his mum and being able to give her another chance by the end was really nice. I also really appreciate the fact that he didn't take the easy way out and accept the placement Sean got him. Like, he knows he didn't earn it. It would have annoyed me so much if he took that. The Tyrone stuff is good. I don't have many complaints though. What really gets me about this episode is the B plot. Jordan, Asher, and Ajay are doing magic tricks, and for some reason Jordan thinks it's a good idea to try doing a break and repair trick on a watch that's not hers when she doesn't know how the trick works. Why would Jordan even try a trick like this when she doesn't know anything about it? She can't be this stupid. I wouldn't be complaining about this if this plot didn't take up a good 40% of the episode. The setup is so dumb that I can't even engage with the rest of the story. At least Tyrone finally got to do some stuff in this one, but the Jordan and Asher story definitely needed a smarter setup.
Heartbeat sounding in your ears, sweaty palms, tongue-tied. No! No!
Guys, this is it. We have arrived at the most cringe episode of this entire show. When I tell you I was struggling to get through this one, it is genuinely one of the hardest times I've ever had trying to sit through something in my life. Jess gets her first crush on her friend's brother, so she spends the entire episode trying to hide it, and this spawns some of the most stupid moments in Tracy Beaker.
Jess! You have pancakes for feet if you ain't careful.
Pancakes for your feet. Why would that?
I find it hard to even review this one properly, so let's just go through the best worst bits of this 26-minute cringe fest. This has got to be one of the most random out of nowhere crushes I've ever seen in my life. These guys interacted like 2 other times, and there was not even a little bit of indication Jess thinks of this guy as anything other than her friend's brother.
You don't understand. It's not me who has a crush. It's Paige. On you.
Why would Jess lie about Patience liking Tyrone? Just say you don't like Moses. He would, what's for? It's such a stupid way to get out of it as well. Like, is Tyrone just gonna leave her alone because he thinks Patience oh, he does? Yeah, I don't even know what I expect anymore, bro. This also just makes things worse because after that, Patience thinks that Tyrone has a crush on Jess, and it's just a mess, man.
You alright? No, that's proper sickly.
Bro, chill. Bro. Patience is walking around her own farm. You did not need to do a spit take.
Peter likes Mum.
Really? Most of you probably forgot Peter was even in this show because I haven't talked about him in ages. But his crush on Tracy has been sprinkled in throughout these episodes. I have thoughts on this, but I'll save them for after the headache I got watching this episode fades. Honestly, the worst thing about this episode is the fact that this crush is never brought up again. Jess shows no signs of liking Moses after this. They barely even interact after this episode. Guys, if you wanted Jess to have a crush on someone, Tyrone is right there. That would have felt way less random and maybe even been a bit more interesting. This episode is by far the worst, but at least I can get some ironic enjoyment out of it. I would rather them be bad than boring, I guess.
Right.
Quick!
This episode has 3 stories instead of the usual 2. We have Tracy getting a crush on this new Miles bloke, while Peter and Jess look for the owner of a ring she found. Jordan has to decide what she wants to do in the future, and Tyrone, Patience and Moses take part in a cake baking competition to get money for an antique camera. The Jordan stuff is alright. It doesn't really conclude in this episode, she just decides to keep thinking about it. I actually really enjoy the Patience stuff. I like the group dynamic these 3 have, and they keep it for the rest of the show, which is quite fun. My problems in this episode come from the main plot. I've held off from talking about it till now, but I honestly can't stand the Tracy and Peter ship. They try to pretend that Peter always liked Tracy, but I never got those vibes at all, and I honestly can't stand them awkwardly interact. Also, this new guy that Tracy starts to like is one of the most obvious twist villains I've seen in my life. I died laughing when he ran away with the ring. He's clearly not even trying to get away at all. This one's mostly fine, but I could do without the Tracy and Peter stuff, please. Guys, I'm gonna be honest when I tell you that I have seen this season multiple times and I forget this episode exists every single time. Asher gets a merit instead of a distinction and starts shoplifting or something, and Ajay is trying to make an art piece. Asher steals so she feels like less trapped because her mum is pressuring her. I don't know, guys, I'm tired of this show, bro. Let's just move on, man.
Oh, that's what we're doing, is it? Oh,
This episode is actually really good. Elaine from the story of Tracy Beaker comes back to give a preview of a book she's been writing on her experience working in care, but her version of the story is a bit different from Tracy's.
Stacy sneaked into Janine's room, and when she came out, the clock was broken.
It was an accident.
Honestly, this episode could have been pure nostalgia bait, and like, it is a little bit for sure. This Tracy and Justine paint fight is a prime example. Guys, Tracy and Justine are in their 30s, come on. But aside from scenes like that, the Elaine stuff is handled really well. This is one of the only times in the show Jess is nice for the majority of the episode's runtime. I liked how Elaine isn't portrayed as this supervillain. She genuinely believed that what she wrote about Tracy and the rest of them were true, and while the versions of them are inaccurate, you can tell it's not malicious in the slightest. The B-plot isn't half bad either. Jordan auditions for this play about the spirit of Cooksey, but gets overwhelmed and has a flashback to the care review she used to get. Jordan's flashback was integrated into the audition scene really well, and the way the 2 plots come together at the end with Elaine helping Jordan get a second chance was a good choice. This episode is also one of the only ones that got an unironic chuckle out of me when Elaine has to change the names of the characters she's writing about. When Stacey Mika and Janine Smallwood aren't acting like children, this episode contains some very good moments and doesn't fall into the pitfall of just being nostalgia bait for those who watch the story of Tracy Beaker. Best one so far. In this episode, Jess turns 13, so she makes her first post on social media. But because of that, Jordan's ex-girlfriend Shannon finds them and starts persuading Jordan to move to Cardiff. Episode 9 is another one with a lot of stuff going on. And at first I thought it was a bit overwhelming, but I've since changed my mind. The Patience, Tyrone, Moses stuff is as good as usual. I still don't know when these guys became close, but it gives Tyrone stuff to do, so I ain't complaining. Jordan's stuff could honestly be way better. This whole plotline just seems like an excuse to get Jordan and Asher together, especially because of the fact that Shannon doesn't show up and is not mentioned again for the rest of the show. Then why even have her exist in the first place? Jordan and Asher could have easily gotten together from literally anything else. We did not need this pointless conflict. If Shannon came back and kept pestering Jordan to move or something, I would care about this plot a lot more. But the fact that it goes nowhere makes Jordan's part of the episode seem like a waste of time, save for the last few scenes she has with Asher. Then you had the Tracy and Peter stuff. Yay, my favourite part of the show! The complaints I had last episode still apply. This relationship is cringe and it should not be a thing. It's somewhat amusing when they try to hide the fact that they're together, I suppose. But when they're not hiding from people, they're attempting to be a cute couple. And every time I saw that, I regretted my commitment to the series. Finally, we have Jess and Asher hanging out, which is actually quite nice. In the last episode, Jess was nice to Elaine without being prompted to. And now in this one, she's hanging out with Asher and trying to get everyone involved in her birthday party. It only took a whole show, 1 season, and 8 episodes, but Jess is finally a good person. So yeah, a lot of stuff goes down in this episode. And while it's not all great, most of it is. It's pretty solid and enjoyable. Episode 10 of the Beaker Girls can be summed up in one word. Boring! One of my notes for this episode was simply fell asleep. I don't know what it is, but when Jess and Patience fight for the sea, my brain switches off. It's always so boring. The guy they're protesting against is kind of funny though. I like the way his lines are delivered at least.
Yeah, well, that's all very admirable. But I don't deserve to be demonized.
It doesn't help that I struggle to even remember what Jordan's up to in the B-plot. Okay, so Jordan's learning the history of Cooksey and the important people in it, so the Cooksey play can be more accurate. When they go on strike, I thought that was kind of alright, I guess, but most of it is just Jordan researching Cooksey, and it had me like this. Jess and Patience's stuff is also pretty boring for the most part, until Tracy shows up to stop them and is called a bad mum. At this point, she flips and starts doing the protest with them to the point where she gets arrested. This is the most in character Tracy has been for a while. She can be a responsible person, but if you press her too much, she will have something to say about it. I really enjoyed seeing Tracy act irresponsible in this one, because it's more realistic than when she's kicking Justine into a table because she was a little mean to her daughter. This episode was boring for the most part, but at least we got some funny in character Tracy moments for the last 10 minutes.
Jess, there you are! Mum! Don't walk behind the horse, Mum! Mum?
The play I briefly mentioned last episode is happening, and if Jordan does well, she'll get to do her music B-Tech at college. The play goes well, but conflict arises when we find out Jess and Asher faked an email from a famous director to get Seren out of the play so Jordan could have the lead part. This then leads Jordan and Asher's relationship to getting revealed and them being forced to stay away from each other. First of all, I guess Jess still hasn't grown out of being stupid since she pulls this absolutely brain-dead prank. Like, yeah, Seren is annoying and was making the play very dry. But did Jess not think for a second that if everyone found out, it would look bad on Jordan? Anyway, aside from that, I actually quite enjoyed the conflict in this episode. Like on one hand, Priya and Simon Rajani Martin are delusional to think that Asher is being influenced by Jordan and not the other way around, especially after they found out Jordan didn't even know about the prank. But when Priya says Tracy's family is chaotic, I mean, I can't disagree with her. While the stuff in this episode is very good, I do have one big complaint, that being the ending. So Jess goes to the farm to find Asher and Tracy follows them, but then she runs behind a horse, gets kicked, and smashes her head on a brick. I couldn't take this scene seriously because of this slow motion effect. It takes me out of it so hard. I think it would have been much better if everything just happened in real time. But aside from that scene, this episode is really good. So let's see if they stick the landing in the final episode. To be honest, guys, for the last few years, this show has constantly been in the back of my mind. So finally being here and talking about the last episode is an incredibly freeing feeling. In this final episode, Simon Rajani Martin takes Tracy Beaker to court so that Jess can live with him instead. He says that Tracy's environment is unsafe and chaotic, but honestly, I have no idea what he's on about. This argument is very, very good. Some of the best acting in the show.
Even when you got arrested, you didn't back down.
There were no charges!
Because your daughter, a 13-year-old girl, got you out of it. That's why.
That was a one-off.
It's Been a lot of one-offs, haven't there?
They both have valid points. Yeah, sometimes Jess does have to step up and be an adult instead of Tracy, and the environment Jess lives in can be chaotic, but it's fair for Tracy to not fully trust Simon after he walked out on her and Jess's life. I do think it's ironic that one of the reasons Tracy is being taken to court is because Jess bails her out, and this episode is about Jess bailing her out. The actual trial is kind of cool. I like seeing all the references to the past episodes, but like, I would have preferred Tracy face a bit more criticism. Like, she has been very irresponsible multiple times this season, but we don't get a single piece of bad testimony. But aside from that, Asha talking to her mum and Sai was nice, and Mike coming back was very cool. He really doesn't have to be here, and like, I don't even see how his testimony is relevant, to be honest. He hasn't witnessed anything that's gone on in the show. But it was cool seeing him, and his testimony was very sweet.
I cannot imagine a better mum. Or a better foster mum.
The ending of this episode, excluding the Tracy and Peter stuff, pretty good as well. Tracy burning her care files, letting go of her past finally, and giving Jess the story of Tracy Beaker book to write her own chapters in was a nice way to send off this show, to be fair. So yeah, the final episode of the Beaker Girls turned out pretty good, all things considered. I have complained so much in this video. It is nice that the final episode is a solid one. Right, there you have it. I finally talked about all of the Beaker Girls. It's kind of wild that it took this long to do, but I'm happy that I was finally able to do it. Looking back, this show honestly wasn't all that bad. Like, yeah, I'd prefer it didn't exist, and there are many, many things I would rather watch. But there are some good episodes, good plot lines, good characters in this show. I can't pretend the whole thing is bad and just a waste of time. Just mostly. I recently checked in on the dumping ground and found out that the kids have like superpowers or something, and it really makes me think about the poor state of Tracy Beaker as a whole. This franchise used to have some great stuff in it, but now it's gotten to the point where I can't even be bothered to watch the new seasons of the dumping ground anymore. Seriously, why do they have power? Who knows, maybe one day I'll talk about the dumping ground and the fall off it experienced in terms of quality. But as far as the My Mum Tracy Beaker section of this franchise is concerned, despite having some good episodes and plots, the key word in the title of these videos is still the most accurate way to describe these two shows: a great big mess. But the Beaker Girls is much more fun, much more worthwhile, and much more recommendable mess than My Mum Tracy Beaker. Sorry.